Mark Wright, do you wish to speak to a statement?
Yes, please, just for a few minutes. Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to read through my statement. I hope you've all read it. I just want to reiterate my belief, and it's actually a sincere belief, that this primary review has not been built from the bottom up on the basis of evidence and facts on the ground. This has been built from the top down on the basis of a new fashionable ideology that's come to town. Maybe it's my background in science, where I expect to see arguments backed up with reasoned argument and evidence before reaching a conclusion. But the evidence, what evidence there is that's been presented for, in particular for the closures, is sketchy at best, and it doesn't make sense or is contradictory at worst. I'm just going to pick out one line for you here, which comes under premises issues, which I picked out of the Cabinet report. And the indicator is called Rank Among Bristol Schools for the Combined Score of Suitability and Condition. And apparently St George West is first on this score. This score, which has no particular evidential backing that we've been given, it's got no explanation for it. And a few weeks ago I did try to find out what it means. And I have the very serious worry, that these kind of measures, they could be anything behind the scenes, and the worry is that they've been constructed because they show the right answers. I mean, this, therefore, is what I feel a flawed report. The schools that have been scheduled for closure, they're not the worst performing. They're not the most expensive. They don't even have the most surplus spaces. In fact, for St George, the level of surplus places is below the government's target level. And for St Pius, the level of surplus places is a deeply misleading measure, because the school is bouncing back from 2 or 3 years ago when it was in special measures, and basically half of all the parents left. This school has had a 50% growth in the last 2 years. And so to stamp on last year's figures as being an indicative measure of surplus places is completely ridiculous. I've also noticed, incidentally, that it's now in the later documents, it seems to be, there's this kind of pretense now that St Michael on the Mount, in fact, has suddenly magically gone to a two-form entry school, despite the fact that there's no evidence whatsoever that this is even going to be remotely feasible to expand into a church to do that. What I find slightly upsetting is that that is in response to points that we have raised, which is that the problem with that proposal to close St George and to expand St Michael on the Mount doesn't make any difference to the number of spaces that there are in this region, and we need more in this region, and we proposed the expansion of St George. So the Cabinet's response to that has been, yeah, you're right, actually, so we'll twist the knife a bit more and we'll make St Michael on the Mount even bigger, but we'll still ignore your own expansion plans. I mean, there's no justification for that. It seems to me simply that these schools are easy and soft targets to carry forward the plan, which is to reduce the number of schools in Bristol and to increase the school size in Bristol. I've seen nothing yet which convinces me anything other than to say that those are the two drivers that are driving this, and the evidence has been massaged to fit that plan.